Let's rock and roll, ready to go. So time management, we start on time. That's really important. We're gonna have some fun today. I wanna make this interactive. So we have a small group because of what's going on right now, but feel free at any time to bring up a question. And then if you raise your hand and I acknowledge you, give Corey a chance to kind of get over to you or something like that, just a second before you ask the question, and then I'll do the best to answer it. We'll certainly have questions at the end as well. So if it can wait, that's fine, but it doesn't have to. I like the interactive part, it makes it easy on me. Also, all of the trainings we're doing right now, that's why we have our the 2 cameras set up here and lights and things like that, will be on 805 Academy. So Corey will get this, and when he's done with this, he'll edit it, and within a couple weeks, he'll post it on 805 Academy. It'll be there forever and ever. So obviously, if you want my PowerPoint, I can give that to you later as well, so you can get that and take the notes from it. You're welcome to take notes if you want, but more than anything else, I'd say just sit back and just kind of see what you can learn. So people often complain about lack of time when lack of direction is a real problem. That's Zig Ziglar, and he's one of my favorite speakers. He's not anymore, he's no longer with us, but he was a great speaker, had a lot of great quotes, and a lot of great trainings. So I really think that when we get into this, I want to save everybody here, if we can, at least an hour a week. And that's if you're a good time manager. That would be like 1 hour per week will save you. Now, if let's say you're not so good at time management, my goal is to save you an hour a day. An hour a day. So that's the goal. We'll see how we did at the end here, and you guys can kind of rate me whether I can, we can save you an hour a day, an hour a week, or maybe not at all. Maybe you're so good, you're gonna come up afterwards and say, listen, I've got some things for you to save you some time, which would be fine, because that would make this presentation even better the next time we do it. So I want to start off with just a couple fun quotes. And these are just kind of fun quotes that kind of started off kind of light. I'm going to stop putting things off starting tomorrow. Time is a great teacher. Unfortunately, it kills all of its pupils. Why is Monday so far from Friday and so near to Monday? This one's really good as you start to get a little bit older. It's actually kind of true, actually very true. Age is like a roll of toilet paper. The nearer you get to the end, the quicker it goes. Yeah. And then one of my fun ones, Facebook motto, wasting people's time since 2004. Time is money, especially when you're talking to an attorney. And then this one you need to think out just a little bit. No man goes before his time unless the boss leaves early. And then my favorite of all is time is a great teacher, but a terrible beautician. So just some better quotes to start off with. So, okay, let's start off with a question here. 29,200. Any idea what this is? Just take a guess.
Seconds in a minute? I don't know.
No, that's a good guess.
Seconds in a minute. You mean 6 minutes.
Yeah, not such a good guess now that I think about it.
Milliseconds.
Seconds in a day.
Seconds in a day. That's a good guess, but let me tell you what it is. It's actually the days that we have in a lifetime if we live to be 80 years old, which is roughly the average lifetime these days. So 29,200, that's the amount of days. Now, let me talk about how we spend those days. This is kind of interesting. So 26 years we just sleep. Now, it's not the first 26 years, it's spread in there. But if you look at that, 26 years of our 80 years spent sleeping. 18 years we watch TV. Okay, during this time we've probably even done more of that on average. 16 years working, or we're an at-home parent. 7 years of social media. Who knows, this is probably growing. 7 years of social media, and that would be a total of 67 years. But I was saying 80. 80's was the minutes, but the average for 67 years, this is what you get. So again, you kind of see how we kind of spend our time, and you can kind of see if you look at that, don't you think we can save a lot of time? And that's the goal today. So before we get into ways to save time, I want to talk about some of the myths, because there's a lot of myths about time management. Unless we kind of dispel the myths, we can't get into the real core of how we need to save time. Okay, so 6 myths we have. First of all, just realize the importance of time. So to realize the value of a month, ask a mother who's just given birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of a week, ask somebody who's just lost a loved one what a week with that person right now would mean. To realize the value of a minute, just ask somebody who's just missed an airplane. How many people here have missed an airplane? Okay, 1 minute might have made the difference, right? We literally missed the plane one time because of a huge traffic jam by less than a minute, we saw him closing the door. I mean, probably 20 seconds. Okay, to realize the value of a second, just ask somebody who's just avoided an automobile accident. We've all probably at some time in our life had something just really close. 1 second made the difference. And to realize the value of a split second, just ask Michael Phelps, who won the 100-meter butterfly in the 2008 Olympics by 1/1000th of a second.
I remember that.
That was a great thing to watch. And when you watched it, because he kind of came from behind, it looked like he lost. But they flashed it up immediately and he won. 1/1000th. So you can. So I think that's gives you an idea of how time is important. So let's talk about some of the myths. Myth number 1: if I put it off the day, it'll probably go away. Now we oftentimes think that, but that's completely wrong. What normally happens is, if we put it off, it will probably not go away. It's probably going to be worse later. And so that's one myth we need to get out of our mind, that if we put it off today, it's going to go away. It won't happen. So procrastination is a bad habit. Putting off tomorrow what you should have done yesterday. Procrastination is a grave in which which opportunity is buried. And one final quote: procrastination is suicide on the installment plan. And it truly is. I like that one the best. So let's get into myth number 2. Myth number 2: there's not enough hours in the day to get it all done. And how many people have felt that way? We all feel that way sometimes. If you've never felt that way, you're probably not human or realistic. But we all feel that way occasionally. But that shouldn't be our overwhelming, most common thought we have. That should be something that takes place occasionally and not often. So again, there are enough hours in the day. We just have to manage the hours we get. So we all have the same amount of time. Successful people spend them wisely and vice versa. Okay. So myth number 3: I won't be so busy in the future. This was one that I had to dispel years ago, because I always kept thinking, I remember Angie and I had these talks early in our career. Well, next year we won't be as busy because we won't have to do this, or well, we have learned this, or we'll have a system for this, or whatever. And yet it was amazing that every year became busier and busier and busier, because we're always able to see what we can eliminate from our life, but what we can't see is what we're going to add to our life. So we must understand that we will be busier in the future unless we take control of our life. And that's absolutely true. That was one of the hardest ones for me to kind of get used to. And actually, the opposite is probably true. You're going to be busier next year than you are this year. So, and here's one which is kind of fun. So good time managers never waste time. Actually, that's not true. That's really not true. Taking time to regenerate our batteries is not wasting time. That's not wasting time at all. Also, sometimes we think that we're going in good motion, we're getting a lot of things done, but we're so tired and so fatigued that we're only producing at maybe half speed. And so if we were just take a little bit of time off, whether that's in a day, so we're really busy in the day, and therefore we need to take just 5 or 10 minutes to regenerate, or whether we need to take a vacation for a week or two to generate for months to come. So in little ways or in big ways, we still need to generate. So it's been said that the time you enjoy wasting is not wasted. As long as you enjoy the time wasting, and you know you're wasting it, and it's set up to be wasting it, and this is just my time to waste. People who cannot find time for recreation are obligated sooner or later to find time for illness. And that's a fact. So you guys probably came here thinking, if we're going to tell you all the things you have to do, you need to be busier with your life and do more and achieve more and everything else. And what we're really trying to do is get you to achieve what you want to achieve easier and more effective. So that's myth number 4. Myth number 5. My life is controlled by external forces. And most of us really feel this is true. A lot of people, in fact, this seems to be pretty true, that the better a time manager you are, the less you would agree with this. But the worse time manager you are, then you tend to agree with this. And you think, well, I have so many things that are external forces in my life. That's not true. The vast majority of our time is controlled by us. The vast majority. What is true is that our decisions create external forces that may affect our time. Like, let's say, for instance, this year I was asked to join 3 different boards from different people on different times. Anytime that I join a board, it's just not joining a board. It requires meetings and maybe breakout meetings and maybe homework and all these kind of things, and maybe other events to go to for these businesses. So, I had to say no to these. In one case, I accepted the position, I said for 1 year and 1 year only. But other cases, we just turned them down. And the reason is because the whole idea is that it's gonna affect our life in a greater way than you think. Now, a lot of times when somebody comes to you and they want you to head up a committee or be on a committee or do something, guess what they do? They always minimize the time it's gonna take. It only takes a few minutes. It'll only be 2 meetings a year, 4 meetings a year, once a month or whatever, and the meeting's only an hour or 2. That's never true. It's gonna be, the meetings will be longer, it takes time to get there, there'll be things that come up. Believe me, it's always more than that. So myth number 5, my life is controlled by external forces. Not true, most of them are controlled by you. So myth number 6, good time managers is getting more done in less time. And that might be true just a little bit, but mostly that's not true. Many people believe that, but effective time management refers to getting fewer things done of greater importance. Now, you guys have probably heard me talk about this before, but about the ABC time. Now, ABC time means that there's, what I call it is when you do A work, when you do B work, and when you're gonna do C work. Now, if everything in your life, if you're the ultimate perfectionist, and everything you have to do in your life has to be perfect, you better get a job as an engineer, sit in a room, and perfect some little gizmo that goes to a gizmo, and that's all you do, 8 hours a day, just perfecting that. And you wanna do A work, okay, maybe it's a heart valve. If you're working on a heart valve or a little piece of that heart valve, you probably work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and you just sit in a room and perfect it. But for our job in sales and things like that, you must learn when to do A work, B work, and C work. I used the example of somebody on our team years ago that when she was new, and this is a really good agent, but when she was new, she would set up the appointments for all of her showings. And every time she would set up an appointment, she would literally call the agent and find out the entire situation, if there's any offers on it. She would then download all the information, all the pictures for her client. She would always go out and preview every home she showed. And then she'd put together a whole financial sheet for every a different option on this home, different price ranges and things like that. So every home she showed would take probably an hour or 2 hours just to set up the showing. And then she'd go and show 6 or 7 homes, and all she could do is work with one client at a time. And she said, how would you possibly work with more clients? Well, you can't do all of that. You need to set up the showing, kind of look at the pictures, decide if it might meet your client's needs, go show it. And then if it does, then you do A work before you write an offer. But you can't do the A work on every single home you might ever show to somebody. So you need to know when to do A work, B work, and C work. That could be a whole seminar, so I'm not going to get into that too much. But again, we have to define them. Now, there are times we do A work. If we're doing a listing presentation, you better prepare really well and do A work on that. But other times we can do B work or sometimes even C work. Okay, so let's kind of get into what I call 20 ways to stretch your day. I'm going to give you 20 kind of bang, 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 quick ideas of how to stretch your day. So, number 1, the first rule of time management. This applies to everybody, but maybe perhaps even more sometimes to women. And then and this is that you can't have it all, you can't be it all, and you can't do it all. There's a lot of Superman, women out there, or super women, that's what they try to do. I'm married to one, and she is constantly busy, very seldom takes time for herself, always doing things for others, and that's one of the things I love about her. But I think she's finally come to the realization that she can't have it all, she can't be it all, and she can't do it all. And I think that's had a positive effect on her life. So let's start off with that number 1 theme, okay? Can't have it all, can't be it all, can't do it all. So number 2, in fact, I love, many of you know Rick Warren. Some people actually attend Saddleback. And I heard this quote one time, and I thought it was really great. I wrote it down years ago, and I've used it in this. It says, "It was the most relaxing day of my life when I resigned from being general manager of the universe." And isn't that right? I mean, we don't have to manage everybody and everything around us. We just don't have to. Now, Rick Warren has a lot in his place. I mean, he's probably still kind of a semi-general manager of the universe in some ways, but I think he probably learned how to delegate and do some other time management things that we'll talk about. So rule number 2, put margins in your life. Margins are very, very important. Unless you put margins in your life will bleed into the margins, okay? You must put margins in your life. In fact, let me tell you how you do this. You know, when I showed up today, I showed up here about an hour and a half before I was gonna talk. Didn't have very much I had to do, just wanna, look at the presentation I put together a while back, redo it, retool a little bit. And I got here a long time before because I put margin. And so margin, first of all, not only does it kind of relieve stress and things like that, it allows you to do things so much more efficiently. And you always have other things to do, okay? You always have other things to do. Put margins in your life. Had I put more margin in my life the time that we got caught in traffic at the airport in Dallas, I wouldn't have missed the airplane, okay? I thought we put enough margin. There's times, occasionally, but rarely, that you can't put a big enough margin. That you plan on, leaving extra 15 minutes to get someplace that's only 15 minutes away, you leave 30 minutes early, and yet there's a traffic jam or something goes on, and you just miss it. But that shouldn't be normal to miss everything and be late, and to always be stressed out. Put margins in your life. So another one, this is a little trick that I learned years ago, and it works really well. And you guys all know this. I do this, all of you Christians. I just made an appointment with him this morning, and it was on the quarter of an hour. Okay, we made an appointment for a time off in the future at 2:15 in the afternoon. You guys know that when I make appointments, we make them usually on weird times. You know that our monthly office meeting is at what time? 8:55 a.m. Okay, 8:55 serves a couple purposes. It has an 8 in front of it, so somebody thinks, okay, I know it's 8 something. So even if they aren't sure which 8 it is, they're going to be there on time or early because it's 8:55, not 8:05. Now, do you also notice that if you ever have a doctor's appointment or dentist appointment, they never book the appointments at 9 in the morning? It's going to be at 8:50 or 9:20, right? They always book them usually on the 10 or 20 on the hour. And the reason they do that is they want you to be there on time. So when you make a very specific time with somebody that is in an off time, like either on the 15, something like that, they're more likely to be on time. We had a client one time, his name is Rick McLemore, great guy. He's no longer living in the state, so I doubt he'll hear this, but he is a great guy anyway. But he was always late for every appointment that he had. I was always early, always ready for him. And so in essence, he was wasting my time, right? And so I wanted to make him more time efficient. And so what I did is I'd always make our appointments on the minute. So guess what? Appointment, we're gonna show property at 10 in the morning. Nope, 9:59 a.m. Now, he loved that. He thought it was fun, and he would start back at me the next time I'd say, hey, what time would you like to meet next week? He goes, hey, why don't we meet at like 9:47? How's that? I said, sounds great to me. All of our appointments were literally on the minute, the off minute. And that's okay, it worked. Guess what? He started becoming, instead of like really, really late, on time or almost on time. So instead of being 20 or 30 minutes late, he was always either on time or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes late. So again, just a little trick. You don't have to mean your clients. You don't have to say, I'm really disgusted you're always late or you're wasting my time. Just make the appointments on the quarter hour. And by the way, if you do them that way for everybody, like I do, you guys aren't offended when I do that, right? You're not offended because I always do it. Now you might think I'm a little bit weird. You're probably right, but it works. So that right there can probably save you 15 minutes a week. Just that one little thing right there can save you 15 minutes a week that you won't have to be waiting for people. Okay, so rule number 4, be an efficiency expert. I want you to imagine this just for 1 minute. If you had a time management and efficiency expert, somebody that spends their whole life on doing what I'm talking about today, and they know far more than I do, and they followed you around for 1 entire day, what would they say to you? I mean, just kind of think about it. What would they say to you?
I waste a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That person would probably say the same thing to me. So what I want you guys to do is you don't have to go out and hire one, be one. One day, take a day in your life, every so often I suggest you do this, and be your time management efficiency expert that day. And everywhere you go and everything you do, take note of what you're doing good and what you're doing bad. What you're doing good, you want to do more of, and what you're doing bad, you want to eliminate. Now remember, you might decide to take 15 minutes just to take a break and relax and watch some social media or look at your phone or things like that, just to kind of decompress when you're in the middle of something that's really busy you're preparing for. That's okay, because it's planned wasted time. But what you don't want to do is waste time that's not planned. And be an efficiency expert. And if you do that every so often, I try to do it at least a couple times a year, I can always carve out a couple extra things. Like, I kind of know, this is kind of a silly thing. I love to take a shower, and I'm not like the person who just wants to get in there and get out in like 2 minutes, okay? I mean, I had enough of that in high school gym many years ago, okay? Where you only had 10 minutes to take a shower and get to the next class. But I like to take a shower, it's really nice and warm. I've got a really great shower and shower head. And so I know that I'm gonna wanna spend X amount of time in there. I'm gonna wanna spend at least 5 or 10 minutes in there. So guess what? I just do some other things. I shave in the shower. It does 2 things. First of all, your skin is easier to shave in the shower. And second of all, I get something else done while I'm there. Okay, it's also a thing that I do every morning is the first thing I do shower is, or right after I work out I shower, is I have a little thing in our shower and it says, worry less, pray more. I pray, start my day off every day by praying in the shower. So I pray and shave. I get 2 things done while I can enjoy the warm water. Because I'm gonna stay there X amount of time anyway. Who wants to get in and get out? Now, every so often we have to do that, but most times we don't. So be an efficiency expert and start trying to change as many things as you can to put more time in your day. Okay, rule number 5, eat a bug every day. Now, you guys heard me talk about this in a lot of different areas of life, but it's also important in time management. Eat a bug. Now, some people call it, eat a frog or eat a bug, whatever it is. The theory is if somebody were to give you a bug, and you're on this show, what's the name of the show that you do? You eat crazy things and stuff like that. There's a show like that. I've never really
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor. On Fear Factor, they give you something and maybe a bug and you have to eat it. Okay, well, if they gave you a bug, would you sit there and go, how good? No, you're gonna eat it. I'm done, right? There's another show that I watch. I love to watch Deadliest Catch. And every time there's a rookie that comes on, they have to eat what?
A worm, probably.
No, they have to eat like the heart out of a fish or something like that they put in there. And they have to take a bite out of it. Okay, it's disgusting. I wouldn't do it. I literally have to resign from the job. But that's something they do. Guess what? They don't take their time in doing it. So the theory is eat your bug. So whatever you don't like doing in your job, by the way, love my job? Do I love everything about it every day? No. Are there things that occasionally I don't like doing? Yeah. Are there things that every day that I like doing more than others? Yes. So I take the thing that I like doing least, I do it first, and I get it done. That way, it doesn't cause me grief all day long, doesn't cause me worry all day long, doesn't occupy my mind. I just eat it right away. Now, for the overachievers here, we got a bunch of them here. I'm actually looking at mostly overachievers. Eat 2 bugs a day, okay? Eat 2 bugs a day. So, okay, that's rule number 5. Rule number 6, okay? Use, but don't abuse technology. When we look at a lot of people on the team, and one of the things that we find out sometimes is that some of us do not know the technology we should to save us the time. And that's a lot of people, believe it or not. But there's some people that they probably use technology when they really shouldn't, just for the sake of technology. We always are saying that we want to be in the leading edge of technology, but we don't want to be in the bleeding edge of technology. So use technology appropriate. When you look at something that is technology and it's going to save you time or make life easier, and the price is not too great and the learning curve is not too long, then use it. But if you're the super techie that you want to use technology for technology's sake, I suggest you back off a little bit. If you're the person that you're afraid of technology, I suggest you warm up to things that are important that can make your life easier. Okay? It's like an investment. If you can learn a technology that might take you a few hours to learn, but it can save you time and make things much easier for a long time, or make you a better agent, it's worth doing it. So have the right view on technology. Okay, the next one, this is, I think, the second best suggestion I'm gonna give you guys today. Of all the ones, I only have one better. Okay, I'm saving it for last, but this is my second favorite one. And it's called Learn How to Use Raft. Learn how to use Raft. Now, what is Raft? Raft is an acronym that I use. And it's what you do with many things in your life. It's what you do when you get the mail. It's what you do when you get email. It's what you should do when you get phone calls. It's what you should do when you get a package delivered to your door. It's what you do when a lot of things come to you. This is what you want to do. You want to raft it, okay? So here's what it is. you want to either, number one, refer it. That means, let's take this in the context right now of emails. You get emails coming in, you open up your email that morning, and you have 10 new emails. So you want to do one of these four to every email there, every one, okay? First of all, refer it, okay? Did that this morning. I had some stuff that I wanted Angie to do, it came in, it was for her, forwarded, hey, I'm gonna take care of this, thank you, love you, bye. Done, okay, that's refer it. The next one is, just act on it, get it done. So somebody calls and they say, hey, I need to have that net sheet, that information sheet you had on all the different costs on net sheets. Guess what? I just sent it right back to the agent. Right then when I opened it up. Attach it, send it, only have to look at that email one time. That's act on it, okay? The next one is file it, okay? So you look at this, you go, okay, you're asking for something that's a little bit more involved. This is gonna take me a little bit of time. I don't have time right now, I'm getting ready to go for an appointment. Okay, I'm gonna put this in my save file, okay, I'm gonna file it. I'm not gonna keep it in my email, in all the bodies of email, I'm gonna go put it in a save file, or maybe in an escrow file, or whatever file, I'm gonna file it because it's something I'm gonna do later, but I'm gonna get it out of the mainstream of my emails, because I don't wanna keep stepping over that, okay? And the last one is my favorite one on this, and that's trash it. Now just trash it, get rid of it. How much stuff do you think you're gonna use that you really don't need? Just trash it. And when we're talking about email, here's the great thing about trashing it. When you put it in the trash, are you putting it in the trash?
No, because you don't delete it for a year, right?
No, right, you don't delete it. So guess what? All you're doing is putting another folder called trash. And now later, if you don't use that for a long period of time, then you can delete that or save that and delete them. But trash is just another folder. But because we call it trash, okay, or recycle, we're concerned about putting it in there because we feel like it's going into the trash, and there's gonna be the trash man come up and take it away without us.
Yeah.
And we've all put something in the trash at one time in our life where the trash man took it away, we go, oh my gosh. You know, I got something, it was something to do with technology a year or so ago. And I remember that the trash man was coming, it was in a big box. So I took everything out, I think it was a printer or something like that. And so I took it out and the trash man's coming, I wanna get rid of this big box because I don't have this kind of room. He's coming right now, just put it in there. I forgot to take the directions out, the directions were underneath. Okay, so he's driving on the street and I wanted to, I'm not gonna do that, don't wanna chase the guy. I need the directions. Well, I just went online and got it, it was no big deal. But it's that idea, we've done that. But guess what, trash and email, not trash, it's just a folder. Okay, so again, we want to raft it. Okay, refer it, act on it, file it, trash it. All the things that come across our life, whether it's the mail that you get, whether it's email you get, whether it's a phone call you get, whether it's packages on your doorstep. Okay, yeah, Ruth?
On filing it, so you have a separate file, like in your particular, like to do, so you wanna put it somewhere so you remember it later, so you have a specific one?
Yeah, I have a lot of specific ones, depending on, things like that. Like right now, we're doing some mentoring and things like that. And you guys were responding with some of my emails back. So I put those all in the Right Team mentoring file, okay? If I have another file, this is my basic file called Save. Those are the ones that I will look at probably later today or again tomorrow. I don't look at them often, but I know when I need to do something. And a lot of times I'll see something I need to do, I'll put this on my list to do tomorrow, and then I'll pull it to the save side. Again, I don't wanna step over it time and time again, get it out of there, okay? Okay, that's probably my second best one, but depends on how you look at that. I gotta tell you, that is a huge time saver if you'll use that. Okay, rule number 8, organize your life. Here's the great thing about organizing. Right now, we had a lot of time off, okay, with the COVID. We've had extra time off. So guess what we've been able to do? Projects, planning. I've done so many projects that, around the house, on business, things like that. And it's been a great time. You can organize your life when you have time, and then it saves you time when you don't have time. That's why I have a list for everything. If somebody calls me and they need to get together or they want a listing presentation later today, guess what? All I need to do is go on and get the data out of the computer, okay, out of Matrix. I've got everything else, all the sheets I'm gonna put in the book for them, everything all ready. Just print, put it in, let's go. I could get ready in 20 minutes if I needed to, because I'm so organized, okay? Everything you should have. Once we go to escrows, you guys know our team is a list on list on list. There's a list for everything. And so that's organizing your life. Get things where it's supposed to be. You guys kind of know our office is pretty organized, right? You go in there, the chairs are put back in the same place. You guys are great about that. I make sure that we lead. organization is a huge, huge key to saving so much time in your life. And not only save time in your life, everything that is around you is a reflection of your mind. So your desk is a reflection of your mind, your office is a reflection of your mind, your garage is a reflection of your mind. So let me show you my garage. This is my garage on any day I leave the house. As soon as both cars are out, that's how my garage looks. This picture was taken a couple of years ago. I just left this morning. The garage looks the same way today. Okay? There might be different things in the bins or whatever, but that's the way my garage is. I just keep it clean. If you don't mess it up, you don't have to clean it up. Okay? That's the way it looks.
I think you have an abby-normal brain.
Abby-normal brain. What you might say is the garage looks empty, so is your brain. But no, the point of it is again, you know, I'm OCD, so I organize to a great degree, but even if you don't have to be OCD, and OCD can have its own negative effects, I guess, and I've never been technically, you know, diagnosed with that other than by my sons and my wife. But, so I'm not probably OCD, but they tell me I am. And this probably proves it. But the whole idea here is organize when you have time. It's gonna save you time when you don't have the time. It's really great to organize. Okay, I very seldom will you over-organize, so. Okay, rule number 9. Understand it's more important to finish projects than to start projects. You know, it tells you a lot about your personality. Some people like to start projects, but they have trouble finishing them, okay? And other people are really good taskmasters about getting them done. I will tell you that there's a correlation to your success based upon how many projects you finish, not by how many projects you start. Because start means they haven't completed, they haven't helped you yet, they're not good for you, but completing them is what's important. Now, not completing them anyway, but you gotta get them completed the way they're supposed to be completed. So that's very, very important to do that. Another thing I wanna kind of talk about, and that's kind of the under promise and over deliver of kind of time management. And this is kind of, you know, it kind of rolls into this as well, like starting projects and things like that. It's just kind of a little rabbit trail, but it still will, I think, be a good tip. And that is like, when I am meeting with somebody or talking to somebody and I tell them I'm gonna get back to them. I told Kat yesterday I was gonna get you that sub in recon, right? I told her I'd get it tomorrow. I said I'd give you the notes out tomorrow probably. Guess what? All those notes of everybody I met, Amy, we met yesterday, I said I have the notes probably tomorrow. When'd you get them?
Last night.
Last night, okay. So my whole thing is, anytime I tell somebody I'm gonna get them something on a certain time, my real time is way ahead of that. I'm giving myself some margin, that's an example of margin, and I'm also gonna under promise and over deliver. And let me tell you how you can set yourself up to look really good to all your clients, and that's to do exactly what I just said. Under promise and over deliver, as opposed to over promising and under delivering. Let's say, for instance, you have a client that calls you and said, we just had this a couple days ago. Client called and said, listen, I need an appraisal of my home just for tax purposes. It's not that important, just kind of a basic, idea of what it's worth. Would you be, can you put that out to me? I said, yeah, how soon do you need it? Oh, no hurry. I mean, this week, next week, following, doesn't matter. I said, okay, what if I got this out to you by Friday? Would that be okay? I think I can get this done by Friday. Okay, this was Monday. And they said, yeah, that would be great. Guess what? I got it to them on Wednesday. Now, do you think that client's gonna be impressed when I said Friday, but they got it on Wednesday? Of course they are. Now, what if I said I'll try to get it out to you by Tuesday, but I got it out by Wednesday? I get it out the exact same time, but I set myself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. Under promise and over deliver, okay? Under promise and over deliver. It also is gonna take a lot of stress off your mind, and it's gonna allow you to organize your time much better when you do that as well. Okay, rule number 10, we're halfway there. Stop complaining, stop complaining. So here's the truth of it. Busy people don't have time to complain. Assess in your life how much time you take complaining every day. And whatever it is, try to cut it in half or even more, okay? We all, even those positive people, complain too much. If we're negative, we need to say, wow, I need to really knock this down. But even if we're positive, we need to stop complaining. Complaining is a time waster, okay? Complaining just doesn't work. So stop complaining. I remember when we were putting Regency together 25 years ago, Karen Quinn, somebody was asking her about, well, I understand that when you go to Regency, you guys are doing a lot by committees and things like that, so there's like extra work if you're gonna be, part of Regency. And she says, that's all optional. If you wanna do that, you can, but you don't have to. But even if you had to, I would have spent more time on the committees that I spent at Regency than I did complaining about my old company. And so I thought that was pretty good. Again, we complain more than we think. Assess how much we're complaining and then do less. Okay, number 11, change TV and social media habits. As time goes on, you can now look on your iPhone, okay, any phone you have, iPhone, Android, and it'll tell you how much time you're spending on your phone every day. Okay, I turned mine off a while back because it was too depressing when you look at your phone and you have 2.5 hours a day looking at your phone. So, and first of all, I tried to cut that down, and then I cut it down some. It's still like over an hour a day. I'm thinking, over an hour a day? I'm spending 5% of my day looking at my phone? This is nuts. Okay, this is nuts. So why don't you turn it on for a while?
Maybe you're working on your phone.
Well, you can work on your phone a little bit, and let's say, I do think that half of that's time, well spent, but some of it's not. Okay.
And what is that feature?
It's a feature on your phone. You can talk on there. It tells you how many times you've been on your phone. It'll compare from week to week. You can even send notifications. It'll send you a notification every week of how much you're spending, whether you're spending more or less than the average of the last month, things like that.
It's called screen time.
It's called screen time. Yeah, look it up on screen time under your settings. Okay, again, it could be dangerous, so be a little careful, but if you want to go into screen time, you can do that. And then change your social media habits. Only watch TV programs that you can record, okay? Because if you record the program, you can come through the commercials, you save time. That'll save you, guess how much time that saves you? If you can fast forward through two things, commercials, okay, commercials, and the segment promoting. In other words, they're promoting the next segment, okay? 40%. 40% of TV, 40% of it are commercials or promoting the next segment. I just want to watch the next segment, okay? So imagine, if you can do that, 40% of your time is saved on TV. And then here's the other thing. If you want to do social media while you're on TV, if you're watching something that's something that you're not totally into, that you're just kind of watching it, and kind of downtime, maybe recharging your batteries, hey, do social media, okay? Do social media during that time. Now, I know social media is a huge part of our business, and so when you're planning social media to be part of your business, I look at that differently than we're going in there looking at friends on Facebook or Instagram. Much different, but we probably, so I'm not talking about the social media that we're looking to promote our business. Okay, rule number 12, write it down. Write it down. You guys all, you might have heard this quote before. Somebody asked Einstein one time his phone number. And he said, I don't know. And they said, wait a minute, the smartest man to ever walk the face of the earth and you don't know your phone number? He says, no, this is only reserved for things I can't find someplace else. Start writing everything down. Have a list of everything. I have a list of everything, you guys know that. I write everything down. I don't trust this to save things like that. I don't trust things. You can ask me people's phone numbers, and a lot of times I have no clue what their phone number is. Okay, no clue. But I've got it saved in my phone. I can auto dial them. Okay, so I wouldn't know phone numbers. I won't know addresses. I won't know a lot of different things that I can find out. All I need to do is look them up. I have them right there. So I think it's going to be something useful. I write it down. Clear your mind for other things, to be creative, to enjoy life, to put your projects together, to be creative for your clients, things like that. Get all the stuff out and write it down. And by the way, how many times have we thought that we would remember something, and so we didn't write it down, but we did? Everyone does that. Okay.
Too often.
By the way, the older you get, okay, Michaela, okay, the worse that's going to be. Okay, so you need to understand that. Right now, you're probably pretty good at that, but you're going to get worse every year about that. Okay, rule number 13. And this is, I don't want to sound negative here, but don't waste time on the wrong people. I mean, don't waste time on wrong people. And there's a couple ways to describe that. That people you don't like, don't waste time on them. People that don't like you, don't waste time on them. And I don't mean just physical time, I mean mental time. People that are like that in our lives, we come across people like that every so often. Just don't spend time with them. Don't spend physical time or mental time. That's reserved for the people I care about and love and that are important to me in my life. And I know that sounds kind of negative a little bit, but I think we can all point out a time in our life where we probably spent too much time on somebody who is a negative force in our life. Okay, next one is kind of budget your time and money. There's an old saying that if somebody were to take some of your money, they've only taken your money. But if somebody were wasted a minute of their life, they've taken a piece of your life you could never get back.
Yep.
Okay, and that is true. And you've heard this expression, time is money, which is true too. So budget your time and money. One of the things I have to my budget, I've never had this actual budget where I laid it down, I would budget, X amount for everything. Because in sales, it was really hard to budget for things because you had no idea how much you're gonna make. You can kind of budget your expenses, but sometimes it was good and sometimes it wasn't as good. Okay, so here's the way I look at things. Time, money, and effect. That's the way I budget things. So a lot of people just budget things, with kind of money you have or money you don't have. I look at things as time, money, and effect. And here's the way I look at it. Let's say, for instance, that I'm gonna spend some money on even something in business, let's say. So when I'm gonna spend something for a new, maybe a new CRM, I'm gonna look at that and I go, okay, I wanna look at that. I wanna explain, first of all, what's the time what time is it gonna take? Is it either gonna save me or cost me? And I might look at this as how much it's gonna cost me up front to learn it, but then save me throughout the years. Okay, that's the way to look at it. How much money is it gonna cost me? Or if I use this new system, maybe it's a system that's cheaper, how much money am I gonna save? I just changed over recently to, from cable. I cut the cord, finally, should have done a long time ago. And I cut the cord and I just went to YouTube TV. But I had to think, okay, how much time am I gonna have to learn that? There's several hours it's gonna take to learn that, okay? But when I do, it'll be just as good probably. I found that it was actually better. I thought it was gonna be just as good, I actually like it better. And then how much money am I gonna save? Well, it's gonna save me about $100 a month. Okay, $100 a month is gonna save me. Now, I might have decided that I was gonna go to something even better that's gonna cost me more money, but then it would have to be the value there. Time, money, and effect, that's the way I budget everything. Time, money, and effect. Okay, simple budget, and it's a good way to have it, especially when we're in real estate, so we assess everything. The next one is early is on time. You guys have heard me say this before. Early is on time. That means that being there on time is really not on time. You need to be early to be on time. Almost anyone who's ever played sports, and maybe high school, but certainly college, then the coach is going to tell them, they're going to probably say early's on time. Okay, right, Fro? Early's on time. It was never, and you still do some coaching at high school level. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not, 3 o'clock isn't when you're supposed to be here. That's not on time. You're actually late if you get here on time. It's early's on time. Because technically when it hits 3 o'clock, it's 3:01, 3 o'clock and 1 second, you're late. So it hits 3 o'clock, you're late unless you're already there sitting. So again, early's on time, and I can tell you, getting places early will open a part of your life if you've never had before, if that's not the type of person you are. And let me tell you some of the great things. I usually get to church, we usually get there at least 15 minutes before the service starts, and the service starts 10 minutes late, so it's really early, but then I have time to answer emails, to make phone calls, to see people, sit anywhere I want. I can sit anywhere I want. You know why? Because I'm there early, okay? You can go outside and have coffee and donut, get to talk to people, and that's the time I can really energize myself and kind of regroup on things. It's a great time. And then if I happen to hit a little traffic or something, I'm still on time or probably early, okay? I go to an Angel game, and Corey and Casey can tell you this, that anytime I go to an Angel game or a Dodger game, we like to be there really early. I don't want to get there and wait in line to get in, like at 5:30 when the gate opens. I just want to get there about 6, okay? So when I get in there, guess what? I got all the parking spots I want. I can park wherever I want to make an easy exit later. I get there, we can walk right up to any food counter we want, get whatever food we want, don't have to wait in line 1 minute, and then get to sit down totally with nobody bothering, with a bunch of people there, get to enjoy our meal, things like that, enjoy time together, just enjoy the weather in the ballpark, okay? And guess what? I usually leave it at 7 in the 7th inning. You know why? Because I don't want to walk out in the crowd. Not that I like baseball, but I'm not like addicted to baseball. I just enjoy the baseball game, so I just walk out in the 7th inning, get in my car, and 30 minutes from the time I leave the game, I'm home. As opposed to waiting when everybody leaves like everybody else, and it'll take me an extra hour, and it'll take me extra half an hour to get home. That's a half an hour I save by just doing the ballpark the same way. And guess what? I didn't have to wait in the ticket counter to get in. Instead of waiting 3 minutes to get in, I walk right in. Early is on time. Early will give you a lot of benefits if you do that. So, okay, rule 16, eliminate unnecessary worry in your life. You guys all know the quote that we have in our office. I suffered a great many catastrophes in my life, most of which never happened. I've talked about those in my other talks. But you know, worrying there's a purpose to worry that much, okay? To worry just a little bit of worrying is kind of like the red flag. I need to pay attention to that. But then when you continue to worry about something, it is going to cause stress in your life, and it's going to waste time in life, it's going to absorb your life, and it's going to take away from your productivity. So you have to look at worry in the right regard, and that has to be, it's just a quick red flag. I have to look at it, pay attention to it, and then I need to move on in a positive way. Again, a lot of people, I don't think anyone's mastered that. That's always a work on progress, but we always need to be working on it. Rule number 17, almost getting to the end here. Plan your day before it starts. Can you imagine, and this is amazing how many people don't do this. I can't even imagine not doing this, but you know, you just go out and you let the day become the day, okay? Now, every once in a while, I'm not a spontaneous person, and what I'm gonna say next will probably give you a little chuckle, but I'm not a spontaneous person, so every once in a while I have a day off, and Angie and I wanna do something. I have a day which is called completely spontaneous. I plan to have nothing planned, okay? I plan to have nothing planned. Now that's rare that I do that, but I do that once in a while. And it really freaks her out when I do that, because I usually get up and say, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this. I can tell you where I'm at every part of my day, and I'll get up and I'll say, this is just a day, we're not gonna do anything. She goes, what do you wanna eat? I don't know, we'll figure it out. No, you're bothering me. This is bothering me. Now she's the one who's more spontaneous, but when I become completely spontaneous, that bothers her, okay? But plan your day before it starts. Can you imagine, you know, driving from LA to New York without planning how to get there? I mean, that's what we do so many times. How many times do we crisscross our day and our schedules because we just didn't plan it out? I would say the average person can probably save 30 minutes a day by just planning their day out. Planning their day out, okay? Really important. Okay, next one, rule number 18. And this is one that I use, I think, pretty well. Some of these I'm better at than others. This is one I think I'm really good at. It's called prime time. So here's my definition of prime time. It's an hour of a day that you can get 2 hours of work done. And I call it prime time because if somebody were to say I could stretch your day 1 hour by the use of prime time, then wouldn't you want to do that? I like prime time in the morning. I'm a 5 a.m. prime time guy, okay? I usually get up at the latest at 5 a.m. in the morning, okay? And what I want to do is I'm going to use that first hour to get a lot done. Get emails, get my day plan, all the things I want to get done. But here's the key, there's nobody around, everybody else is sleeping, okay? I have the quietness of my house, and so I can get a lot of work done, no distractions, and I'm in go mode, absolute go mode. And that's what I call that prime time. Now, prime time for you might be another time. I think some of us are larks, some of us are owls, so you have to determine what that is. If you're an owl, maybe your prime time is at that night planning for the next day. That's okay too. You just do it a few hours early than I would do it. But whether you're an owl or whether you're a lark, you need an hour of prime time. And I look forward to that prime time because I know that the benefits of, you know, the idea is if I gave you, if I said, give me $100 and tomorrow I will give you $200 back, would you do that? Yeah. So this is the same idea. What if I said, if you give me an hour of your time, you do it the right way, you'll get 2 hours of work done? I mean, isn't that not great? So again, prime time, very, very important. I think this is key that we should all have that hour of prime time. So, by the way, you can really impress your clients or your boss by sending emails at 5 a.m. Or 4:30 a.m. That's kind of good. So again, if you're, I mean, in this case, you know, all work for yourself. You're your boss. You're not going to impress yourself by sending 5 a.m. emails, but you might impress a client. So, who, in essence, they're our boss, right? Rule 19 is delegate. Okay, delegate. So important. You know, people, the more people have on the plate, the more important they are, the more they need to delegate. I remember my dad used to have this saying. I thought it was kind of a funny saying, but I think it made sense. When in doubt, mumble. When in charge, ponder. When short of time, delegate. I love that saying. So when in doubt, mumble. When in charge, ponder. When short of time, delegate. Let's focus on this last part, okay? Delegate. Anytime you can delegate, you multiply your day. And a lot of times, we delegate to somebody who can do something better than us. I delegate a lot to Angie because she can do a lot of things better, and she still allows me to do that. And guess what? I am able to expand my day incredibly because I can delegate. So if you want to get a lot done, you need to delegate. If you don't delegate, it's going to be really hard.
How do I get my Angie?
I want one too.
Yeah. Actually, you guys all have an Angie.
I know.
Don't you?
Yes,
I mean,
we
how
do.
many things will Angie do for you? And you guys have all noticed that Angie will never say no, but I do. So I know a lot of things come to Angie, and I kind of think, they've never asked me to do that. Okay. But by the way, it's better to be an Angie than an Ed, no doubt about that. But you do need to delegate. Delegate's an important part. And again, don't delegate, in a way that's reckless. Just delegate in a way that is right. If you're not good at social media, find somebody who can do that for you and get it done right, and save the time rather than killing yourself with it. When I started, getting assistants when we were in business, we first of all started with a part-time, and then we all of a sudden we hired another. Pretty soon we had 4 full-time assistants. For the last 20 years of our business, 4 full-time assistants. But it was hard for me to delegate. But when I learned that, oh my gosh, each one of these have talents that I don't have, so I delegate the things to them that I'm not good at. So my day was, guess what? I was clients. All the behind the scenes work was done by them. They prepared everything for me. They had everything ready. They checked on things. All I had to do was spend my time all day with many, many clients. And that was a great thing to do. Now the last one, Rule 20, I told you earlier my second favorite one. Okay, you might look at this and laugh and say, really, that's your favorite one? I want you to pay attention. This is the best one of all. Learn how to say no. Until you learn how to say no, you will not be a good time manager. Now, by the way, there's one little saying I heard this from somebody a long time ago. I don't know who it was, so I can't give credit, so I'll just take credit. And that is, no is a complete sentence. Don't apologize. It's not no, and I'm so sorry, I wish I could. No, just no, sorry. No, just no. Just no. It's a complete answer. You need to start saying no to more things, and I want you to think of it this way. Saying yes to something is saying no to something else. Every time we say yes, we say no to something else. There's a time where Angie and I, Angie, it's hard for her to say no. She's such a giving person. She would do so much for other people. She'd never say no, and she's gotten better about doing that through the years. But there was a time where it was really tough, and so being my arrogant self, I'm not suggesting you ever do this to your spouse, but I'm going to tell you what I did. I got a glass of water, in a clear glass. I filled the water all the way to the top, and I took the glass and I filled it all the way. That one more drop would basically spill that whole thing, okay? Not one more drop could fit in that glass. So I took the other glass, still had some water, and I said, this is what your life could be like, really full, which is not good. You need to have a little margin, but here's what it's really like. And I just started pouring the water, and it went all over the counter, okay? And I said, that's what our life is like right now. I want to get our life back. I'm okay to be full, but I don't want my life to look like that. We need to start saying no to some things. And so I'm saying to you that anytime you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, and sometimes we need to say no. Now, hey, there are some people that they say no to almost everything. I'm not saying you be that person, but I would suggest that there's more people in here that need to say no more as opposed to no less. Okay, so learn to say no. Okay, so just got 3 closing thoughts, and I'll take any questions you have here. First of all, focus on effectiveness, not busyness, because again, you can multiply yourself when you're effective, but just being busy doesn't really matter. And I think we've all at times just, kind of got busy. One of the things I always like is that I never will run to something. I never want to see out of, I don't ever want my clients to think I'm busy. I want them to think I'm efficient and I'm good. I don't want them to I don't ever tell my clients how busy I am. Okay, guess what? If you tell your clients how busy you are, you think they want to refer to you? No. No, they don't want to refer to you. You're too busy. So you never can make your think. Now, being busy and successful are 2 different things. But what you really want to portray to your clients is you want to do such a great job, and they know how good you are. But they want to look at you and say, how do you get so much done? You just seem to be at such peace. you've got everything under control, you don't seem to be busy at all, you always take your time with me. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to be the client that runs up to them and say, yeah, what's up? No, relax. Relax. Don't make your clients think you're too busy, or they won't want to refer to you because you're too busy. Number 2 is make and keep appointments with your family. This is very, very important, super important. If you want to lose all the credibility of your family, the most important people in your life, just break the appointments with them. Now, my kids, when Casey and Corey Young, they got really good with this. Corey would come to me and he would say, hey, Dad, I'd like you to throw the ball with me today, and I'd like to practice a little bit and maybe take you to the batting cage. Would 2:30 be better or 3? Okay, he'd use the alternate close with me. They got really good with that. But guess what? An appointment with them was an appointment. I might be really busy in the weekend, and I might have several appointments, but if one of those appointments was a baseball game or a soccer game or one of their sporting events, I was going to be there. Because guess what? That's an appointment. It's just as important. I could make the case it's more important. The truth of it is leave margins in between your appointments, and if you do that, you'll be able to do that. I always would tell my clients, a lot of times, they'd say, well, how much time do we have? And I'd say, hey, my next appointment isn't until 1 o'clock. Well, my next appointment was really probably 1:30. They don't care about your time. They're not gonna have to respect your time. So I said, hey, I'm good until 1 o'clock, okay? And that way I'm not technical. I just say my appointment's 1, I said I'm good until 1. Because then they might think I went over 10 or 15 minutes, but the truth of it is I'd still be there on time or early for the next appointment. So you need to protect your time. And the third one is focus on doing your will, not the will of others. The will of others sometimes, and sometimes the loved ones in our family will have the will, like sometimes maybe I do to Angie. It's their will, not your will. But you need to understand on doing what your will is, and that doesn't need to be a selfish will, okay? But don't let everybody else, that you're there for everybody else to the point that achieving your goals have been lost. So, okay, questions you guys have? Anybody here think they save an hour a week? Can you save an hour a week?
Yes.
Yeah, Angie?
Okay, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
It's actually, I just want you to elaborate on 2 of these things. One is, how many emails do you typically have in your inbox?
Typically, before I started my talk today, none. I cleared them all out. I'm going to clear my emails a few times during the day, and they're all going to be in 1 of 4 places, right? I'm going to refer them, act on them, trash them, or file them. So they're all going to be done.
Yeah,
So I keep that because I don't want to keep stepping over myself. So yeah, I'm going to always be, and I don't watch them every 15 minutes, but I will watch them a few times a day, and I'll respond quickly to them.
I think that's huge because I think there's a lot of people that don't clear their emails. In fact, I know some people that will have hundreds of emails there. I don't even know how they can manage that, and they don't. They just don't look through them.
If you have 100 emails that will be in your inbox at the end of that day, I can assure you that it costs you at least 10 minutes that day to step over them. At least 10 minutes. And so, 10 minutes a day is more than an hour a week. Okay, it's more than 50 hours, more than a week in a year by just keeping your inbox. It's like these little things added together make big adjustments. So when you say, you can save an hour a week is easy to save. I mean, that's like a no-brainer. An hour a day can be done by most of us if we just get a little bit more efficient, and just imagine how much time an hour a day is.
So I know you put buffer in your day, as you described, but sometimes, you might have that client that, you're working with and things are going a little long. How do you get out of that so you can get to your next appointment?
So one of the things I talk about with clients is I try to spread my appointments out, but every once in a while something's going to go really long. But here's the point. It usually probably went really long because they were making extra requests or something like that. And I'm going to say, listen, I got to get to another appointment. I want to be on time for them like I was on time for you, but I'll circle back at the end of the day, or I'll get that done, whatever you need to have done. But here's the way that we really get our appointments done in time, is that all during our appointment, we have to have an awareness that there's another appointment. And if we have that awareness, we won't waste all the time that we might waste otherwise. When we're meeting, let's say we have, like yesterday, I had 4 appointments, okay? And the 4 appointments I had were an hour apart. So I had to look at that to start with, that I've got basically an hour or less with each person. I had about 30 minutes of stuff to do, but you can let it wander into a lot more time than that. Because you just let it, but I have an awareness that I need to kind of stay on point.
And what if you had like an appointment, but then a third-party inspection? Maybe it was just an appointment with a team member or a training or something, but then the third-party inspector wanted to come at that same time. How would you have handled that?
So, to me, the only priority in life is human beings. If I make an appointment with somebody, I don't make another appointment. And here's the one thing. If I had a client that I was gonna go out and I had an appointment to show a lease at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and somebody called and said, hey, listen, I wanna look at your $3 million listing. Can you meet me there, at 2 o'clock? No, I have another appointment. Don't prioritize people because you're telling people that one person is more important than another. No person is more important. If I have an appointment, that's the appointment I keep. And you guys will know that most of you will probably never have a situation where I cancel an appointment with you. And hey, we're like family. It's easy to do, right? But I don't do that. If I have an appointment, then I book everything else around it. Nothing is gonna jump in front of that. That's just telling people they're not important. That's telling, who would you wanna tell that? You wanna tell your kids that? You wanna tell your spouse that? You wanna tell your good friends that? That's what you're telling them? Other people are more important. Not true.
But didn't you lose business that way? Because I know you had you were working with a lot of clients at one time, and you probably did have to push people off to different times and stuff. Did you ever lose business that way?
I think this, taking the high road in business is gonna, in the long run, globally, is gonna make you way more successful than taking the low road every once in a while thinking. It's not global thinking to think that I can jump and look at show the $3 million home instead of showing the lease. That's not global thinking. Global thinking is that everybody you meet, you're gonna put that signature of excellence with is the way you work with them, and they're gonna tell others. And by the way, the person that is leasing a house that may be looking at a $2,500 a month lease as opposed to somebody looking at a $3 million lease, they get the same from me. If I commit to them, they get everything. When I'm with them, they get everything.
This is really great. The takeaway for me, that's one thing I get frustrated with is looking at my social media and my email and running over the same things multiple times. I'm learning, like, I wanna do it once and sit down once, get it done, and even like if I'm at a coffee shop and checking my email, it's like, it's not effective to keep looking at the same thing over and over, and trying to figure out, okay, if I do my prime time first thing in the morning to get admin stuff that I know, like contracts or different paperwork done, if we're out in the field showing property and inspections, do you work another time in the day towards the end of the day if there's anything else that needs to get?
Yeah, that's why margins come into play so much. You give yourself more time than what you need for everything, and that gives you time in between to stay cleared off. Here's the thing that when we're looking at those email messages, most of us, and by the way, I have to continually go back and train myself to make sure I keep my messages clear, because if I could let myself go and be cluttered as well. Most of the time when we look at an email and we don't want to either, file on it, act it, refer to, trash it, when that's the case, guess what? It's usually something that we don't want to do. It's not high on our list, it's low on our list. So if it's not high on our list, why do you want to look at it 4 times? If it's not, just the opposite, we need to look at that and say, that's not something I really like. This person has asked me this for 3 times now, and it's kind of like, I've got a negative thought, like I'm so tired, I'll just send it, be done with it. I want to be done with that. I don't want to look at it 4 times during the day, or read, oh yeah, that message, oh yeah. And every time you look at it, it has this kind of negative kind of thought in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, to bring up what you said, if we're busy showing properties or we're at an inspection and all of a sudden, oh, we need to make sure something didn't come through and we look at our email on our phone, I can't put it in a folder on my phone, can you?
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can show you how.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do that all the time.
Hell
And and I'll tell you, that's been one of my big takeaways, because I'm not near as organized as Ed. And, but putting everything into a folder for my emails, and I have 2 key folders for the day. One is, you get those emails that I'd really like to read that, but when I got time.
Yes.
So I have just a review folder, but then I get the emails that I need to act on this today before the end of the day, but it isn't urgent right now, or I don't have the time right now. I put that into my action folder. And so my action folder, I have to clear that before the end of the day. I can't leave anything in that. So I know I've got to act on that. But the review folder, if I don't get to all those today, I can read those on another day when I've got some time. So those are 2 really key folders for me. Now, like he says, you have escrow folders, and I have a lot of different folders going that way that are part of what I'm doing. But Those 2 folders are really good. The other really good, like, aha moment for me, and it's my Achilles I've gotta be careful with, it's really good about just driving through and getting projects done. My personality, I love to start projects, I'm all excited and enthused, and then they get a little boring and I don't wanna finish it. I would tend to have a lot of unfinished projects. So when we work together on something, he's really good about giving me a deadline. And it's like, this is the drop dead deadline, you've gotta have it done. Well, I'll work towards the deadline, so I can get it accomplished. But you gotta learn what your weak spots are and try to grow in those areas. And so he's really helped me in those areas. And I think it helps me get things more accomplished in a good way and have better time management.
One of the things too, that throughout time, you'll find out that there's certain things we do well, and our goal is always to be improving. However, our goal should not only be improving, it should also be to stay good at what we're good at. And so once in a while, that's why I say it's good once a quarter to go back and say, start referring to things I used to be good at time management at, but I slipped a little bit, and make sure that you stay good at things. One of the best suggestions I ever got was a few years ago at an Inman conference, and it was my biggest takeaway from this 3-day conference, believe it or not. And it was like the guy was talking about, here's the 7 things I do in life that's changed my life. And he was talking about read books, and I thought, oh, that's really good. I read a lot of books, okay? In fact, I read books, I've got the brief book that you can read so that, I can 45 minutes get the book, and then it's called Blink List, and then I can go back, and if I really like the book, I'll buy it. The greatest suggestion I got that 3-day conference, reread your best books. And I thought of that, and I went back and I started reading some of the books I really loved throughout the years that made changes in my life. And I would go read them again, because guess what? There'll be some things in there. The book is, first of all, really good. Wouldn't you watch a good movie more than once? Maybe. Then, I've watched Top Gun, it's one of my favorite movies, probably 10 times. Why wouldn't I read a book more than once? So I've got books that I go back and every 2 or 3 years I reread, because they're that good. We need to also do that with time management. We not only need to get better as time goes on, we need to stay good at what we're good at. So. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm just gonna close with a quick saying, and it's kind of like, I'll close by saying, your future is created by what you do today. Your future is created by what you do today. I'm sorry, that's not right. Fortunately, you can edit this.
It's gonna be more.
I'll close by saying, your future is created by what you do today. I messed this up. Yeah, your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. I left a couple words out, but that's the saying. Okay, I'm sure glad you can edit this. Now you know I don't speak publicly. Just one more reason I must.